Okay, so back in October of 2020, I had someone reach out to me, up and coming journalist icon, reach out to me and say, hey, can I interview you about being a full-time artist during COVID-19? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I didn't know at the time that literally a week after I did the interview, I would stop doing art full-time and go get a more traditional job. So here we are, 8 months later, I'm finally gonna read the interview and make a video about it. I wanted to do this back when the article came out in November, but it happened to come out the same exact weekend that my girlfriend's dad passed. So it was kind of like not on my mind at the time. I read it like quickly when we weren't taking care of him, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Good for me. Woo, yeah. See what it was like to be a full-time artist now that I'm a failure. Austin Robinson should be canceled. Okay, so I got the article brought up. I'm just gonna kind of go through, read the questions. I'm not gonna like word for word read my answers. I'll put the article in the description if you want to like really read it. But now it'll be kind of cool to look back 8 months later at my last professional art interview, see what's changed, see what I would maybe what I would say different these days, or you know, where my head's at now with it. Now that I'm a failed professional artist. Being a full-time artist during COVID-19 by Lexi Cardens. Thanks for reaching out to me, Lexi, I appreciate it. Looking at this first photo immediately, let's just zoom in. I sent a photo with just like really jacked up hands and like a dirty, gross mustache. So probably not the picture that I would use to promote myself these days. Kind of gross if you ask me. Sideburns look like garbage. Didn't even have the decency to like clean up the back. Yeah, this is not a picture that I would send now. I don't even wear tie-dye shirts. I wear overalls with one strap. Times have changed. We interviewed Austin Robinson, a full-time successful artist, and asked him how he's gotten through the pandemic and his home flooding. Oh man, two very different things. One, not so bad, I'm in the home. That other thing, kind of bad, it's in the home. We're just gonna refer to the questions as TCP, the clack-a-mass, clap that ass. The first question is, when did you quit your regular job to become a full-time artist? And my response was July of 2018. I didn't quit to be a full-time artist. I quit knowing that I was making enough money to float a while. Review like why I quit the job. I've talked about this in my full-time art video. That is now a lie. Anybody that watches that video today should definitely comment and be like, you're a liar, because no one seems to grasp that videos live forever on YouTube unless I delete them. You know, I get people that comment on videos from 2018 being like, you said shipping was this much and it's this much. And like, well, you know what? The pandemic made shipping rates go up. I can't control what happened 2 years ago. You know, real time update the video, you stupid Only a handful of you suck, honestly. Most of you are really cool. We talked about like how I promote my art. And I said mainly through YouTube and Instagram, like I don't pay for promotion. I'm not really out there like collabing with a bunch of people. Realistically, the only reason I had any success with art was because I was marketing myself on YouTube here and building an audience on here. And then as a result of people just being like, oh, I kind of like this dude's personality, they wanted to support my art. It wasn't necessarily the art that was like top tier. It was just like, oh, this is Austin's art, we want to get it. And I'm not naive to that fact. I know I'm not the most talented artist, but hey, one day we'll get there. Where do I sell my art? At the time, I was selling in this online shop that I run, as well as art markets around New Jersey, when they're available. I'm in the process of creating a new online shop with like a bunch of new stuff and like a little more updated to what I do these days with like clothing and original art, things like that. So there is a new shop coming. That online shop that I used to have, mostly just stickers, which like buy my stickers, absolutely. Stickers are cool, and when the apocalypse happens, stickers will be the currency of the netherworld. My eyes are very allergy itched right now. This question's cool. Were you scared of the outcome of your new lifestyle as a full-time artist? So I responded. In the beginning, I wasn't afraid to pursue full-time art. I had quite a bit of money saved. Like I said, I didn't just like quit. I wasn't like, oh, whatever, like I got no money in my bank account, I'm going for it, yeah, follow your dream. It wasn't like that. I had a decent amount of money saved to pay my bills for at least 3 months. And I was also able to pay my way through an electrician program at a local tech school. And I was actually gonna do that. But then once it was kind of time to decide if I was going to go to school for a second year, and I was like, oh, I kind of think I want to do this art thing full time, that's when it became scary, because then it was like, there's no fallback, you're not going to school for anything, like this is you now, you have to do this. So that was a little scary, for sure. This is like the main reason I wanted to make this video, honestly. So this question, how do you feel about the saying, if you work doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life? Do you feel this is true or not? It is such a stupid saying. That is the dumbest thing. You can absolutely love something, but work is work. When you have to get up and do something, like you have to, it's not an option. You have to go do this thing to survive, to make money, to pay your bills, to support family. It is a job. There are gonna be days where you wake up and you're like, I don't wanna draw today. And then you look at your bank account and you're like, I gotta draw today. It's a job no matter what. It might be a little better, might be a little nicer on your body than like some labor job, but it's a job, regardless. There's gonna be days where you don't wanna do it, and if you don't, the only person that suffers is you. You would create your own failure in that situation. 100% a job. I think people look at self-employment as like, oh, it'll be fun. I don't have to work when I don't want to. Like, no, you do or you fail. There's no room for error there. It was awesome. It was rewarding. There's nothing more rewarding than like a good success with self-employment. However, that requires putting in the work fully all the time. There's no 9 to 5. There's no like 8 hours, clock out, go home, do whatever. From the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, it's work. Because it's just in the back of your head of like, if I'm not doing something, bills aren't paid. So I have to be doing things. Or like brand building isn't happening. Like no matter what, if you aren't spending your full time, literally not like 8 hours full time, like full 24 hours in a day, like the 16 that you're awake, if you're not having some sort of thought about your business and stuff, I'm not saying you're gonna fail, but it's gonna be tough. This next one was interesting because like I just got my taxes done. 2020 was an okay year for me, despite some setbacks and stuff with like, you know, house flooding, things like that, art markets getting canceled. People didn't have as much money for art. When it came to YouTube and streaming, because everybody was home, I made way more than I ever had before on YouTube. How did the pandemic impact you, your work, and the sales? It wasn't that bad for me, honestly. I can't complain that much. Like, there are minor inconveniences, but like, I never got sick. No one in my family got sick. I thankfully didn't like lose anybody to it. So I really can't be sitting here and being like, oh, woe is me, the pandemic was so hard. Hey, they're in a pandemic, we're in a bandemic. The only thing that changed, I started doing a lot more digital stuff. I started toying with animation more because I couldn't really get paint or supplies at the time. So I did a lot of digital stuff. And now I pretty much like strictly do digital stuff lately. I need to get back into like some actual original painting. So here is where we get emotional. This is where we start talking about the house flooding. I am just gonna read this because I'm not trying to get emotional. It's a nice Saturday morning. I'm not really trying to like feel things. So how did you react to finding out you lost your art when your house flooded? So at the time I was kind of like, it took me a while to write this response because I was like, dang, what is oversharing and what's undersharing to be like, oh, it's no big deal, when like it is a big deal, like it's actually really eating me alive. Ex-professional artist Robinson states, I'm currently really struggling with my emotions towards my home flooding. Now that things have calmed down, I finally have time to feel everything, and it's been incredibly tough. Some of these questions may not get the most detailed answers as a result. I tried to like put it out there like, hey, I'm not trying to like dick you with just like stupid, like blunt answers, but also like I'm very emotional right now, and I'm not trying to like, you know, pour my heart out in an interview. Not right now, at least. Not but then, at least. Now I don't care and talk about whatever. My house flooded. A lot of my completed woodcut art was hanging high enough that they were okay. That's true. A lot of my art survived because I had it all hanging high on walls. Every piece that I was working on was destroyed, and there were a few pieces that were too low to survive. That's also true. I lost some of my favorite things, and I had about 8 or 9 pieces that I was working on that were just completely ruined. I never even went back and tried to redo them since then. I should get my together. Maybe that's why I'm an ex-pro. Skateboarding terms. I put out one good pro part, and then I was just like, that's cool. I'm a chill now. I got my pro board. I lost a binder of about 50 to 60 drawings, which was like an entire summer's worth of effort just gone. That one sucked. That hurt to throw away. All my art supplies were gone, except a few paint pens that I still have because I haven't touched them. They're still just sitting there. It's like a reminder of, hey dude, you want to get your together, dude? And I'm like, nah, fool, not right now. Maybe one day, but not right now. There honestly wasn't much of a reaction. I believe my brain kind of focused on getting everything in the dumpster and not putting too much feeling into it. I believe it's similar to anyone suppressing trauma. That was true. And I was like a little weird about like, do I say the word trauma? Because that makes it seem like really bad and like, I don't know. I'm somebody that will very much underplay things that I've gone through because I think other people have stuff way worse. However, it was traumatic as hell. Like you just come home and everything you've worked so hard for years is just gone. That's traumatic as hell. What? Dumb October Austin doesn't understand trauma. Hey, ex-pro, I get it. I'm more in touch with my emotions. Things have changed. How's it been since you've lost your art? Now that about 3 months have passed, I'm back in my, I had just literally finished rebuilding my, space. There's a video, you can go watch it. I built this stuff. Struggle a lot harder with losing everything. Feels like I'm a hollow shell of what once was. That is true. And to this day, I won't say I feel empty inside, but when I sit down to do art, it definitely doesn't feel the same. And it's not to say I'm gonna quit or anything. I love creating and making art, but it's definitely different. It feels strange to sit down now. It feels, I won't say wrong, but it doesn't feel like I'm that same person at all. It's a completely new thing that I'm trying to learn to navigate. I'm starting to figure things out. I've been creating a lot more lately with more of a newer style and a different outlook on things. I still love the cartoon style that I do, but I would also kind of like to get into more realistic, darker stuff because, hey, you go through something traumatic, you start looking at things a little darker. And I think if I was to paint some of those things, it would come out nice. Just personal preference or personal belief in myself as an ex-pro, okay? Ex-pro, bro. What did you do about the orders you had for any art that was in your home? Hey, I'm a great businessman. I shipped everything out before I went on a week-long trip to New York. And that's when the whole flood happened, was when we were away in New York for a week. And then we came home to it. But I had shut my shop down when I was in New York just so I could be fully immersed in my trip and not thinking about business. It was the first week off that I had taken since I started doing full-time art. And the last time I had gone to New York, I worked the whole time, editing videos, drawing every day, still shipping orders up in New York. So this time I made sure that everything was shipped and I shut my shop down for that week. And then I just never reopened it once I came home because there was nothing to sell once I got home. Alright, so this is not art advice. This is just life advice from your boy here. Do you feel like there's anything else to add? So at the time I said life is impossible to predict. You never know what the next day could bring. Whether it be a global shutdown or 18,000 gallons of water in your home, creatives more than most tend to be a lot harder on themselves, and this year has been very rough on us all. I think it's important that we remind ourselves to slow down a bit, enjoy moments, instead of dwelling on the past or fearing the future. Losing everything has taught me that I should try to just be grateful for what I have in each moment. Doesn't mean don't work hard and strive to be better, but be a little more forgiving of yourself. Give yourself a break every once in a while. Be kinder to yourself. The 2 years of my professional art career, I was so hard on myself. The whole time I was you don't deserve any of this. You don't work hard enough. This person's better than you. This person's better than you. They work harder than you. They deserve it. You don't work hard enough. I was very, very hard on myself. And yeah, you know what? It made me a better artist. It made me work so much harder. But it also it made me really hate myself kind of. And that's horrendous. Creatives are already everything you make, you look at critically. You're probably a more emotional person if you are artistic in any sense, whether it be music, art, all of it. When creatives are very rough on themselves, it sucks. It sucks to see some of my good friends hating themselves based off their creations, where no, you're so much more than what you create. You're an entire human being. You're not this drawing or painting. I would love to see creatives be a little nicer to themselves. So here I am, non-professional, probably in a way better position mentally, and dude, physically, I'm absolutely massive these days. God. And it's because I don't prove myself to the world every day anymore. Now, if I want to put out a video daily, I can, but I don't have to. Before, it felt like I had to. I had to prove to you guys that I'm a serious YouTube creator. I'm a full-time creator. Look at me. I'm a full-time artist. Hey, right here, over here, look at me. You're begging for eyes and attention. These days, I make what I want to make. If you want to look at it, sick. If you want to buy it, even sicker. If you don't, and you're this dude's weak, I'm gonna go watch Mr. Beast start an empire. That's cool too. Let me know how it goes. This is a little teaser for a short film I'm working on. I've mentioned it in some of my streams. Some of the regulars already know what the hell is good. Anything new you'd like to share with us? Currently working on a project called The Town of Oddity. Short film, coming soon. Be a home for all the art I make. I tend to use themes like arcades, bakeries, and businesses as inspiration for my art. Now all of these concepts will have a town to grow in. When I go like this, it looked like my hair was up. It looked weird. I really need a haircut. I recently made this town sign to announce the future home of my art. Along with Oddity, the first major business I'll be focusing on is for a cartoon that I'm calling Space Cakes. So yeah, I'm working on Space Cakes. I don't know when the cartoon's coming out, and I'm doing it by myself. So it's coming, and I'm working on it, and there'll be teasers. I've put out a couple already. And yeah, Oddity. I don't like that lettering. And it's funny because I do a lot less art nowadays, but I think because I do less, I can be a little more critical and be like, oh, I could do that better. And I'm not looking at this as like, oh, this sucks. I'm just like, oh, I could do that a little better. Yeah, oddity short film coming soon. We'll explain the concept, how I came up with the whole thing, what it's gonna be, what I'd like it to be, what you can help make it be. That was my last professional art interview. Will I pull a Kevin Spanky Long, go pro, have my pro board taken away, and then kill it even harder than before and go pro again? But for now, Austin Robinson is a dirty failure. Cancel Austin Robinson. Yesterday. Somebody's making a smoothie upstairs. I want a smoothie. That sounds good. Alright, dogs. Good job, painters. Thanks for watching. Daily content coming your way. So much daily stuff. You're gonna be like, how does he do it? How does he work 45-hour weeks and then come home and produce daily content? The answer is A. GG.